Wars throughout history have been driven by recurring themes, including militarism, imperialism, appeasement, and nationalism. These causes often intersect, shaping conflicts and revealing patterns in humanity's pursuit of power and identity. Take the Cuban Revolution, for example, a struggle against dictatorship and for national autonomy, which in turn culminated in a revolution. Military rivalries, coupled with imperialistic ambitions and alliances, propelled ideological nationalism into causing World War I, and later on, in World War II, borders were demolished due to aggression and appeasement bordering on nationalism. As a result, ideological nationalism can be classified as a common thematic cause for all three wars. However, the difference between general and ideological nationalism is significant. Nationalism is a broad pride for one's nation, prioritizing it over others. In contrast, ideological nationalism is more specific to the implementation of nationalistic beliefs in a system, whether that's political or other. By briefly analyzing each war, we can note how ideological nationalism connects to the causes of each war. The Cuban Revolution, or Cuban Civil War, was an armed insurrection to challenge Fulgencio Batista's dictatorial power, mainly led by Fidel Castro, Che Guevara, and other revolutionaries. The dissatisfaction with Batista's corrupt, US-backed government that controlled much of Cuba's economy, especially the sugar industry, resulted in poverty and inequality. Cuban workers faced exploitation, while profits went to the US. The 1901 Platt Amendment allowed U.S. intervention in Cuban affairs, limiting Cuban sovereignty and fueling nationalistic resentment. Cuba has long experienced external imperialism, exemplified by the 10 Years' War, that went from 1868 to 1878, a rebellion against Spanish colonial rule in which Cuban nationalists sought independence and freedom from Spanish control. Although unsuccessful, this war fueled future independence movements and demonstrated the long-standing desire for Cuban autonomy. This war and revolution specifically fostered ideological nationalism among citizens like Castro, who successfully overthrew Batista's dictatorship and established the first communist state in the Western Hemisphere. Following the revolution's success, Castro and his allies began implementing sweeping social, economic, and political reforms, including land distribution, nationalization of industries, and the establishment of a one-party socialist state. Nationalist tensions also played a very important role in World War I, above all in the Balkans, where Serbia strived to unite Slavic people, something known as Pan-Slavism. This kind of nationalistic feeling promoted opposition against Austro-Hungarian influence, which caused the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand by Gavrilo Princip in 1914. Convinced of Serbian self-determination, this can be considered the immediate cause of the war. Austro-Hungary viewed Serbian nationalism as a threat, while Germany supported Austria-Hungary to counter the Allied powers and pursue its own ambitions. The Triple Alliance, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy, clashed with the Triple Entente, France, Prussia, and Britain, turning localized tensions into a global war. World War II was deeply rooted in ideological nationalism. In Germany, Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party had a vision of racial superiority and national dominance based on Aryan supremacy. Such an ideology called for expansionist policies that accounted for the annexation of Austria and the invasion of Poland, which actually triggered the war. Similarly, Japanese nationalism was based on imperial expansion to gain resources and dominance in East Asia through aggressions in Manchuria and the Pacific. The Western powers, through policies such as the Munich Agreement, highlighted these nationalist ambitions. The harsh terms of the Treaty of Versailles after World War I fueled resentment in Germany, leading to its calls for resurgence. World War II was then the catastrophic example of ideological nationalism as nations began to restructure borders and pursue dominance. In conclusion, while one may argue that militarism, imperialism, or even appeasement were more central to the causes of such wars as the Cuban Revolution, World War I, and World War II, ideological nationalism has undoubtedly played the leading role. Whether it be to attain the independence of Cuba, Balkan nationalism, or the expansionist ideologies of Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan, the belief in national superiority and dominance is at the core of these wars. Such ideological nationalism gave rise not only to these wars, but also sustained them, which would continue to repeat in history and the modern day.